Quit interrupting me. I'm trying to get this meeting going. You two, oh my God. Cat Herders Day was actually was yesterday, I think, official Cat Herders Day. Anyways, welcome everybody to another Every Other Wednesday with the Culture Club. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're safe. I hope your families and friends and colleagues are safe and healthy during this crazy, unprecedented time. This is the Culture Club. We are a mastermind group who decided to meet every other Wednesday and talk about culture issues, which is what we all have in common. So let's go around very quickly and meet the gang, starting with Richard. Say hello.
Hello. Can you hear me now? Because earlier you couldn't. Just say yes. Okay, good. I'm Richard Hadden. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. And Mike gave us all an instruction to wear something goofy for this episode. But I couldn't find anything, so I just wore my regular ugly sweater with a contented cow on it, and my baby Yoda on my shoulder.
You look like a complete dork, Richard.
Thank you. No, it's the nicest thing anybody said all day.
And Mr. Jeff Tobe.
Jeff Tobe. That's me. I'm sorry. Hi. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here. Glad to be with you. Happy holidays, everybody. Next.
Sunjay.
Yes, I'm Sunjay Nath. I am calling from just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, more specifically Oakville. And as per Mike's instructions, we're supposed to be goofy and silly. And this episode is about having a lot of fun. And I said about the Canadian way. I will also say it the American way, about. But I wanted to show you a quick little tip of a Hadden look 20 years younger in 5 seconds or less. Ready? Here we go. Everyone stare closely. And there we go. 20 years younger. Thank you.
Years younger. Well done. Well played. So yeah, we're talking about how to have fun, how to bring humor to work without getting fired, which is a topic that I literally wrote the book on. Guys, speaking of having fun, I got to show you, I got to show everybody here two very cool things I've got for this virtual reality world we're living in. I just got this in the mail, my official You're on Mute coffee mug.
All right.
Absolutely essential for everyone having virtual meetings. And you got to like this one. Sunjay has already seen this one too. If you're ever meeting your colleagues in the dark, then this can come in really handy. It actually mimics your facial expressions, your mouth expressions, right? So if you're doing this, it's very cool.
I love it.
I am your father.
It's like Jim Henson move over kind of thing. It's
yeah.
up here.
Read my lips.
Let's dive into this, gang, with a speed round. We're talking about fun. We're talking about humor. So I have some questions for you very, very quickly. We're going to go in this order. Richard, Jeff, Sunjay. Richard, Jeff, Sunjay. Starting with Richard. What's one of your favorite sitcoms of all time?
A British sitcom called Are You Being Served?
Jeff.
MASH.
MASH. That's an oldie. Sunjay.
Showing your age.
Sunjay.
Three's Company.
Speed round.
I was waiting for you to say my name. I don't know what the rules are.
What was yours?
Three's Company.
Three's Company.
And I'm showing my age?
I know, I'm bugging you.
And mine is Schitt's Creek, a Canadian comedy classic that swept the Emmys this year. Richard, back to you. One of your favorite, funniest movies of all time.
Murder by Death.
Jeff.
Trains, Planes, Automobiles.
Sunjay.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
And for me, because I'm living it, Groundhog Day. One of your favorite comedians, Richard.
Billy Connolly.
Oh, very good. Jeff.
No idea who that is, but I have two. Is that okay? One Stephen Wright and the other is Canadian, Russell Peters.
Oh, excellent choices. I love Stephen Wright. Sunjay.
Emo Phillips.
Oh, also an excellent choice. Stephen Wright. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of widths. Right?
He also said the world's a small place, but I wouldn't want to paint it.
Yeah.
And mine is Michael McIntyre these days lately. Google him, British comedian, hilarious. Okay, we're talking about fun, humor in the workplace, infusing that into your culture. So what's a company you think very quickly gets this topic right, and why? Very quickly. Richard.
Zappos. When I went to tour their facility in Henderson, Nevada, they were celebrating some team win with Jell-O shots. I'm not suggesting that everyone should serve alcohol, but that's what they did.
Awesome. Jeff.
Southwest Airlines. Even their stock is LUV.
Yeah, love it. Those are great examples.
I was going with the Canadian equivalent, which is WestJet, which models itself after Southwest. And I know this is, as I understand, the end of the speed round, so I'm slowing down. I have to tell you two very funny things that WestJet did while I was on planes. So one time, this is the mid 90s, when they were just kind of getting a reputation. And so
Trying to get it off the ground, trying to get in the air,
oh, very nice.
trying to get up to speed.
All right, stop it. So the flight attendants were doing their whole safety thing, and he's like, "I've got a WestJet joke for you," and he says to the other flight attendant, "Hey, Billy, what's the difference between a shower curtain and toilet paper?" And Billy goes, "I don't know," and he goes, "Oh, so it was you." Horribly inappropriate, but I thought it was hilarious. And another one time, guy got on the mic, and he was like, "Hello, this is Jose Enrique Gupta," and I thought it was very, very funny. So he had actually a very long Spanish name, and at the end he was Gupta. So cute, funny, having fun at work, and that's, I think they epitomize it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do very well. I was on a WestJet flight years ago where they handed out rolls of toilet paper, and you had to race. You had to unspool the roll of toilet paper to the passengers behind you, racing the other aisle of the plane. The incentive being that whichever side of the plane won the toilet paper race would be the first side to be let off the plane. So people were totally into this. I also remember Sunjay and everyone landing on a WestJet flight where it was official Nerd Day, which is a very simple way you can bring a little more fun into your workplace, celebrate those offbeat theme days. So the grounds crew were all dressed up like nerds. People were killing themselves laughing. Goofy hats.
It's not fair because Richard would win.
Richard would win today. I yes, absolutely.
Today and
I have so many examples that I talk about, of course, but one of
this
my
is a speed round, I was told.
It's speed round, I thought.
Yeah,
No, because this is the end of speed
Sunjay
round.
just derailed that. Would you shut up and let me talk? Beryl Health call centers in Bedford, Texas. It's a call center, and they're kind of notorious for not having the best work environment, but this company hits it out of the ballpark. Incredible family-focused culture that hires for fun, embraces fun. Their human resources manager has the job title, the Queen of Fun and Laughter. They have a giant laughter box in their call center floor where they put in funny things that happen. So if you need a laugh, you reach for it. Tons of fun stuff they do. Last question in the speed round. What's one dirt simple way we could make Zoom meetings, these kind of meetings, just a little bit more fun?
I was in a Zoom meeting about a month ago where they said, "All right, everyone, tell us what's on your," and I thought they were going to say, "Tell us what's on your mind." They said, "Tell us what's on your feet." And everyone had to show their socks.
Very cool. Love it. Jeff.
I was in a meeting actually where the CEO said, I want you to turn your cameras around, and because we've been meeting every single week for 9 months looking at your background. We want to see what else is in the room with you. That was a lot of fun, actually.
That could be a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Sunjay.
I say just allow people, give them permission to be more human, meaning we can kind of theme the days, kind of going, you have to come to this meeting without your headphones. Or just, allow people to not have to put on a show, just be authentic.
Cool. Yeah, that's so important. One dirt simple thing that I do with all my meetings, all my presentations, is I just introduce a drinking game. So I choose a couple of words that are relevant to the topic or maybe the theme day. And every time I encourage everybody, anytime one of those words are said, like unprecedented new normal, blah, 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 everybody has to take a big exaggerated drink. And if you're on video camera, it's hilarious because everybody really does get into it. Dirt simple. So
can we do that for every time in this call someone says, "Mike, that's not funny"?
that
There's such a thing as water poisoning.
Yeah. You could drown, Sunjay. You could drown. So let's slow things down now and get a little more serious about this topic, shall we? So we know there is an overwhelming amount of evidence that humor is helpful in a workplace. When you embrace it in the culture, there's lower absenteeism rates, lower turnover rates, higher productivity. People work together better, more collaboration, better communication, better creativity, which I know Jeff talks about a lot. It can improve your customer service, help you brand yourself to stand out from the herd. All these benefits at a company level, at an individual level. We like people more that have a sense of humor. We trust them more. We want to work with people who have a sense of humor. It's not rocket science, and yet we still come across so many examples of companies that are maybe a little more conservative or traditional or serious who resist this idea of bringing fun and humor. So let's talk about what are some of these, why is there this resistance? What are some of these obstacles to embracing this topic, and how can we overcome them? Let's start with Jeff.
You know, I'm sure you read this because this is what you do, but I saw a Gallup report, or a Gallup research study that was done, and they found that we laugh much less on weekdays than we do on weekends. So that says something right there, right? So bottom line for me, I think the problem is that humor is subjective. You know, what you find amusing or hilarious, you know, Mary in marketing or Ahmed in accounting does not. So I think it's risky. I really do. And employees admire and feel more motivated by leaders who use humor effectively, but I think they have less respect for those who try to be funny and fail or make fun of themselves. So I think it's a tightrope. And I think what happens is most leaders decide not to use it because they're afraid to fall off the rope.
Okay, but is that you said it's a tightrope, but is that a legitimate concern really when we look at things? Richard, what do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that is a legitimate concern. In fact, Jeff stole my answer. I was going to say that, yeah, it's because what one person finds funny, somebody else won't find funny. Somebody else might find it offensive. Somebody else might find it lame. Somebody just might not get it. But I think we all understand the intention of humor, whether we get the joke or whether we think that thing is funny or not. But I just think sometimes, especially if a business is not having a great time, like if they're not as effective or not as successful as they would like to be, that they think that anything that strays from, right down the middle of exactly what we're here to do, that is not exactly easy to connect to the mission, is superfluous and therefore unnecessary. And I think perhaps because they just have not experienced what can happen when you do have a fun workplace and you see the energy and the actual productivity that comes from such an environment.
I also think that it's about interpretation. And this point's kind of been raised already, but it's interpretation of what is fun or funny. And so what happens is someone thinks this is brilliant and this is cool, and then it falls flat, and it kind of makes it awkward. And so people are less likely to put themselves out there next time. So I think that one of the ways you want to use it, like, here's the thing, is these things are often easy to do, but they're really easy not to do. Right? I mean, Mike, you gave a great example of this idea of a drinking game. It's a simple thing to do, and it's also low risk. I think that's one of the most important things, is the risk level of how you get people to participate. So one of the things, as a speaker, and I'm sure you guys are all very aware of this, is there are some people that are really, really bad at knowing the risk level of the audience. You've all seen this where speakers introduce and they run up there, they're high energy, like, all right, everyone, stand on your chair, we're gonna dance. And they start teaching the dance moves. And the thing is, you haven't created a relationship enough with that audience to earn that right to risk. I'm not saying you can't get people on their chairs dancing. I'm saying it is extremely high risk proposal to do it right off the bat. And so what you want to do is earn your right to risk. So maybe you get everyone in the audience to clap, right? Because it's low risk. Because if I clap, it sounds like you clap. But when you get me standing on a chair, singing and dancing, that is huge exposure. And if I look weird or I feel uncomfortable, I'm going to be embarrassed. And now all of a sudden it's a big uphill battle to climb. So going back to what you were saying, Mike, this idea of the drinking game, it's really easy to do. But if someone feels uncomfortable, it's really easy to opt out of it, and they don't look weird for doing it. And so I think that's one of the big keys, is people kind of expect that everyone's going to buy in with full force and 100% and go gangbusters, and they don't earn the right to actually build up to the humor. And so what you want to do is, it's for some people, they think humor means telling jokes. And again, we've all seen that. We're like, oh, I'm doing a presentation and I'm really nervous at presentations. And I was told to tell a joke, and Ahmed in accounting told me this joke, and then they tell the joke and it falls flat. And it falls flat not because it wasn't funny, because it wasn't authentically you. That was your accountant's joke, not yours. So it's a matter of being true to who you are. And sometimes being true to who you are, it doesn't mean telling jokes. It's pointing at something that's funny. Or
I
just
think humor is not the same as being funny.
Or being fun. Not the same as being fun. I think there's a big difference between having fun, being fun at work, and being funny. I don't think we necessarily need to be funny with that. But you guys know, and some of our audience will know as well, our friend Scott Friedman, and he's a humorist and a speaker, and he just talks a lot about. He just says, be in fun. You just kind of immerse yourself in fun. And I think when people go to the workplace with that, it's going to come out a little easier. We do
Yeah.
have a couple of questions and comments in the chat
Sure.
box that I'd like to bring to everyone's attention. Shell has said,
before you do that, Richard, can I remind people that don't send it, it automatically defaults to send it to all panelists. You need to change that to panelists and attendees, please. Sorry.
Okay. So Shell says, I was once told that people here don't think directors are supposed to be funny and friendly. You need to tone it down. And she says that was eye-opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's somebody else's preconceived notion of who's supposed to be fun or funny. And then Kelly says, I think a huge problem from my experience is that we have great senses of humor, but management doesn't like us to have fun. It is pretty much always squashed from the top down. How do we combat that as employees? Currently, I have multiple messenger chats with people 10 feet from me, so we can still laugh on the job. It's just quieter, and I feel a little guilty. Haha.
Yeah.
I mean, for one thing, I think you may have solved the problem. I think you may have come up with a great solution for that. To me, when you say that management doesn't want us to have fun, I think it is in some ways parallel to saying management doesn't want us to be engaged. They don't necessarily understand the benefits of engagement, and so they're not willing to do anything outside of the ordinary to get people engaged. I think if managers understood better the benefits of people being in a fun frame of mind when they're doing their work, then they would be more open to that.
Yeah.
Mike, you've been biting your tongue.
This is the number one question I get asked from journalists and often my clients. And here's my response. And we've touched on a lot of things. Sunjay was talking about that. First of all, we have to define what we're talking about here. And as Richard said, it's more important to do things in a spirit of fun than be funny. Having a sense of humor isn't about being funny, the office joker, or a stand-up comedian. It's about embracing the humor that's around you. It's about being more authentic, more human. It's about having a sense of balance and perspective. It's about finding the funny in your life and celebrating that. It's about laughing at the things that you have no control over, which is huge in terms of our mental health and wellness. And it's especially about learning to laugh at ourselves. Is it not a truism, after all, that the more seriously a person takes themselves, the less seriously we tend to take that person, which is a little bit ironic because they're taking themselves seriously in the hopes that everyone takes me seriously. And we're not taking you seriously, bucko, because you're taking yourself so bloody seriously. So it's especially about laughing at ourselves. And here's what I have found. I've researched companies all over the world. I have found examples of funeral parlors.
That was an example I was thinking of. Yeah,
of humor in their workplace. Emergency room doctors who say they have to have a sense of humor in order to remain professional and distance themselves from the tragedy they see every day. Law firms, the most serious organizations you can imagine around the world. I have seen example after example of these companies embracing it as part of their culture in a serious way. And when I ask them the question, well, what about this fear of humor that people are going to be politically incorrect or say something stupid or you put out the humor welcome mat and all chaos is going to ensue. And they look at me like I have three heads and they say, it doesn't happen. And partly because you get the humor, I think, reflected in your culture. If you have a positive, respectful work environment, that's the humor you're going to get. There was actually a study in the International Group of Humor Studies that looked at the role of the proverbial office joker, right? That one that often we have on the team, the one person who's just a real cut up and does some goofball things. And the study found that there were all these benefits to having a person like that on the team. And they asked CEOs about the office joker and what their thoughts were. And the response, and I love this response that so many CEOs gave, because they said, yeah, there is the odd time when our office joker crosses that proverbial humor line, and who knows where the heck that sucker is. There's the odd time where they cross the line, but you know what? The benefits so outweigh that occasional misstep. And when they cross the line, usually they're the first to know they crossed the line. And you know what? Maybe we'll just have a conversation with them and say, you crossed the line there, right? Yeah, okay, and just, tone. But boy, let's not go in the opposite direction where we're so afraid of it that we squash all the humor in the workplace, right? We have to embrace this notion too that there's a difference between being sober and being serious or somber, sorry. Sober.
Sober
You don't
too.
want to be sober at
Except
work.
for your drinking game.
There's
Yeah,
a difference
there you
between being somber at work and being serious. So we're not talking about taking work lightly in any way. We're talking about taking yourself lightly in order to take your job seriously.
And by the way, so Mike, to your point, you're saying funeral parlors and hospitals. So when I was in high school, I actually worked for a local police department. And I found that all of them had a lethal sense of humor. And so I actually remember talking to one of the officers about it. And he said, we see so much shit that we need an outlet. And often humor is a very clean, simple way of diffusing. So if you're in a high stress environment, and it's high stress because who cares? You're making simple widgets, but there's pressing deadlines. You need that outlet. And sometimes having fun is a great way of doing that. One of the parallels that I often look at is if I'm training someone in presentation training, or you're going to watch a show, a theatrical show, and it's really, really serious throughout the whole thing, what your shoulders do is this as an audience member. And what happens is, unless you give people an outlet to laugh or to purge, they're going to be, they're going to walk out like this. So sometimes when someone says something that's really not all that funny, but gets a ridiculous reaction, it's because the audience is doing this. And not only the audience, but often the work environment. It's the colleagues. If everyone's doing this and someone comes and does something that maybe not funny, but fun, right? Hey, everyone sign this. We're going to take this picture and everyone's going to deface it of the boss, add something. People get to do this. And when we can do this, our productivity increases, our job satisfaction increases, our stress level goes down, and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah, it's a release valve, right? It's a emotional release valve. And of course, your example with the police, Sunjay, reminds me too that of course, for the most part, and humor researchers have actually identified 4 different styles of humor. 2 of them are negative, 2 of them are positive. Of course, we want to build a positive team. We should be celebrating positive humor, right? Supportive humor. Not humor that puts people down, not humor that laughs at other people, but humor that laughs with people, right? However, I honestly think there is a time and place for subversive, dark, black gallows humor. And in professions like being a police officer, you need that, but you have to be aware that there's a time and a place, right? If you're an emergency room doctor or nurses, you're maybe not sharing some of the humor you share with your colleagues in the lunchroom that you would with the patients or the family of patients, right?
But go to a teacher's lounge, and I'm sure what they talk about with the students is not the same they talk to the parents of those students or to the students' faces.
Exactly. We have a student who has his hand up, young Richard.
Yes, thank you. No, I was not worried that there was going to be a lag in the conversation, but I just wanted to be able to inject something here. So you didn't need to call on me at that moment, but I appreciate that you did. It occurs to me that having fun among people who work together is, as you alluded to earlier, Mike, a great way to build a relationship, or maybe it was Sunjay, Sunjay, that you said is a great way to build those relationships. And when we have those relationships built, we can be so much more free to communicate. We can be more productive. People can give each other feedback and that kind of thing. The 4 of us are a good example. Okay, we have fun together. We haven't seen each other in over a year, but back when we used to see each other, we would have fun. When we get together virtually, we have fun, and it has helped to develop a relationship. And as a result of that, when Mike says something that I think is absolutely just ridiculous and off the wall and stupidest thing I've ever heard, and that happens very frequently, I have the ability to tell him that. No, it's actually never happened, but it's not because I don't feel like I could. But seriously, it allows us to give each other feedback, and we know where it's coming from. We know it's coming from a place of somebody who cares about us because we've had fun together. Yeah. So a work team that has had fun together is a different work team than one who has not.
Let me suggest what you're all saying is that there's internal humor and there's external humor. Those policemen have fun and they have internal jokes, but when you get stopped by him because you're speeding, he's not going to tell you a joke or be humorous in most cases. So again, it's how do you project yourself to your customer, versus that internal, which you talk about, Richard, versus getting our people more engaged by a more humorous workplace.
Somebody says, wait, there's an International Society for Humor Studies. How do I get a job there?
Right. Well, you know what? It's a great question. I've been to several of their conferences around the world. The last one was in Estonia, and I'll let you in on a little secret. I get their academic journals, their conferences, the speakers, they're so boring. their talk about humor, and they're the most boring.
Yeah, but who holds a meeting in Estonia?
Hey, Estonia is an awesome place. I
know.
highly recommend it.
I think that's humorous in itself.
Full of
I
very
wanna-
funny people.
I want to piggyback on something Richard's saying. You guys are getting off topic again. Again, I have to steer you guys. Geez. This idea, you're saying that if we have, the four of us have a report, and if one of us goes offline, we can challenge each other because we know it's coming from a place of love, right? And I actually was, a friend of mine was doing his PhD on this notion of healthy conflict. And so he was actually he brought me in to do some of the research with him. And what he found was this idea of being able to, sometimes people think, oh, in our workplace, we have to have no conflict and then we all sing Kumbaya and get along nicely together. And his research found that was not the case. In fact, having that healthy conflict, being able to disagree with one another in a civil way, and not necessarily getting on the same page, but just be able to go, I think you're wrong, and here's why. And you come back with me and say, no, you're an idiot, and here's why. But then we can both skip off arm in arm, go have a beer, and not necessarily just have enough respect to kind of go, I see your perspective. And if you don't like that, I won't do it in front of you. But it's really important to me and part of who I am. So I'm going to go try and do it with Jeff because he appreciates it. And so, again, that idea of putting stuff out there, you will cross the line. That's how you learn where the line is. But every group and every culture has a different line. And
I think we're beating a dead horse now.
Yeah. No, I want to move on, but I do want to get to a few things that you guys touched on. Sunjay, I think you're talking about trust, and we know from studies that people who share a healthy sense of humor, we tend to trust them more. We know when humor is used in meetings, there's better conversations, and as you said, Sunjay, healthier debates and healthier conflict. Argus Industries in Winnipeg, Manitoba has this wonderful mantra: work is hard enough as it is without making it any bloody harder. And that's why they embrace the spirit of fun, right? And I think that's what we're saying over and over here. So let me ask you this question then. How do you say you work in an organization, folks, or
work in an organization?
Smart ass. How do I put up with these people? Seriously, can you put some suggestions in the chat box for how I cope with these people? Say you work in an organization or on a team that has gotten very serious. You've lost your mojo maybe. What are some tips on how to get started with this? Where to even begin? So this is not normal in our culture. Jeff.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in. I'm working with a financial services company, very large, well-known company, nationwide, that you would know them, and they have been very conservative. The first thing they did, new CEO decided he was going to instill humor into the culture, but he wanted to do it slowly. And what I love is he just simply changed the name of their meeting rooms.
Yeah.
You know, it's something very simple. I think one was, I don't even remember, like Kaja Gugu or something. It was ridiculous, but it was just changing them to fun names. And slowly he started to do things. So I think that one of the tips I would say is do it slowly. Don't try to, just change the culture to one of humor. But there are things you can do internally.
Yeah. Doing it slowly is a great tip. That's such a simple idea. And there's so many great companies that have changed their meeting rooms or even all their rooms to fun names. One of my favorites is a Yahoo office where their meeting room names are named things like coherent. So you get to say, oh, Susan, she's incoherent right now. So silly.
They have what? They don't have one called Continent, do they?
Probably not. Richard, what do you got? How do you get started on this topic?
Well, I was thinking about, suppose you do have a company that really is a stuffed shirt company. How do you get them to do that? And one example that I heard of was a company that really described themselves as a stuffed shirt company. And they were finally trying to come out of that. And and this was during COVID, and they decided on one of their Zoom meetings that everybody was supposed to come with a stuffed shirt. They were realizing that they needed to get away from that, and they were to stuff their shirt with something that was figurative or literal that described why they had been so serious and what they need to let go of in order not to become ridiculous or frivolous, but to have more fun, realizing that this whole thing and this whole year has brought some people down so much. And they said, you know what, we need to escape from that. what is it that is stuffing our shirts?
That's
And,
awesome. I love
yeah,
that.
and people, pull things out. We got this problem, we've got that problem. We're not. And we forget to knock the Baby Yoda off our shoulders and things like that. So that's just one example that I heard of.
Yeah, love it. Sunjay.
First of all, I wanted to make reference. Jeff, you said the name you were making up, Kajagoogoo or something. That's the name of an 80s band, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah, something like, I can't remember. They had a big song. They were a one-hit wonder. But to me, I'm thinking on that 80s theme, What About Bob? If you remember that movie, What About Bob? And Bill Murray plays this psychiatrist or something, and he talks all about baby steps. And I think that's the kiss of death. People go, we've been conservative stuffed shirt company for the last 40 years. We need to change our image. And then they go, we're going to the hippie mode and we're going to the .com. And overnight they try to make such huge monumental changes. And it's a shock to the system. It's too shy. Thank you, Frederick.
Too shy. Frederick you can always count on Frederick to have a good answer for us. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, Frederick.
It's a good song. Google it. Anyways, so people try to go into culture shock because the step is too big. But some small things like, changing a room name, great. Having meetings standing up, okay. Making some sort of everyone has to tell a knock joke, or small things that even if it doesn't work, it's not a big step back and people aren't freaking out going, oh my, I messed up, or they don't feel like a failure. So it's all about baby steps.
And Sunjay, you twigged something for me too. Not just going to be a shock to the system. I think it can be viewed as inauthentic, right? As window dressing or a band-aid solution to more serious problems. Yeah. I want to remind folks again with this topic, humor helps us create a better culture, but maybe even more importantly, it reflects a positive culture. We have to make sure we're doing those things with our culture first and foremost, right? And then humor is just a natural outlet of that, a natural response to working in a place where you want to work, where you get along with people. Quick starter.
Sorry, Karen said, but the changes need to be large enough to be noticed. And I agree with that, but I don't think initially it does. I mean, you can do something so small that not everyone notices. And then once that becomes kind of the norm, you add to it, and eventually people are going to notice it. So I think it's a little thing of what's comfortable. What are we already doing so that people don't feel like they're getting stretched and all of a sudden they're doing the splits.
Yeah, although I agree to a point. However, I do have lots of examples of companies that totally flip the needle in a very, very short time by just going all in, by being serious, not treating it as lip service, as it's our new value, we're going to have fun, and then not doing anything.
You mean being serious about having fun?
Being serious about
having fun. This is called healthy conflict.
Actually implementing a plan. I mean, I can tell you example after example, even in the US Navy, of situations where they change things around. But my quick starter suggestion, and I've got lots of them if people want to reach me later, is to start with your meetings. I think meetings are an incredibly important touch point for culture. Meetings help you shape the culture you want, but they also reflect your culture. So they are a really important place to ramp up the level of fun. And there's so many things you can do to make your meetings way more fun and way more engaging. And that will have a domino effect on your larger culture. I honestly believe that. And I have a checklist of if anybody wants it, I have a handout with over 50 ideas on how to make your meetings more fun. But that's mine.
Don't have them.
Sorry?
Don't have them in the first place.
Have less meetings and more conversations. That's one of my mantras. What about, I'm also a huge fan, when we talk about infusing this into our culture, I'm a huge fan of looking for opportunities to create rituals and traditions. Every great workplace I've researched, spent time with around the globe, huge believers in this. They strengthen culture, they give people something to look forward to and reminisce about, and they can be fun. So do you guys have any examples of some fun rituals or traditions you've come across? Who wants to start?
I'll start. I seem to start. So, I have a client years ago when I was working with them, consulting with them. They kept talking about their waddies. Now, before you guys go too far, it's WODDY, right? And it stands for work buddy. So they called them their waddies. And when you come to work there, as part of your onboarding, you're assigned a waddy, and that's your work buddy. And I loved it because first they took them out to lunch. They decorated their workspace before they arrived on the first day or they have a special a huddle or something on the first day. But the bottom line is they were there to answer questions for you. It was like a mentor, and some of them had become really close friends with their waddies. So I kind of like that. Just I love the word and saying it.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Richard.
There's, I don't have anything good enough to nearly as good as what you guys have to answer that question, but I do want. But I am the chat box guy today, and so somebody says yes, 50-point list for meetings. So I guess why don't you? Can you give us something to click on?
Email address probably.
Yeah, email. Yeah, just Mike@MikeKerr.com.
That is it.
You see that? Mike@MikeKerr.com. Okay, great.
Putting it in the chat.
And how do you spell that, Jeff? Okay.
WODDY.
Oh, come on.
PHAT. That's it.
Oh, WODDY. Okay, right. No, somebody else. Next answer.
Sunjay.
I was going to say I did some work with the major hotel, and they did this thing at Christmas where they did. I think I've explained this before, but if I have, great. If I haven't, great. They did a reverse raffle. So they got a bunch of employees that were interested in this. Did this at the winter party, and they got like 50 participants, and all 50 people had to buy like a $20 gift certificate from wherever, from the beer store, the Walmart, whatever. And everyone kind of throws them in. And then what they would do is they would get all 50 people to stand up at the beginning of the meeting, and they did this. They would have like 10 points throughout the day where they would draw 5 names. So all 50 people stand up at the beginning, they draw 5 names. Those 5 people are now eliminated. And now there's 45 left. And they keep drawing till they get to the final 5, and then the final 5 split all the gift cards. And what I thought was brilliant about it was cute because the way they built up the anticipation was fantastic. And the MC was amazing too, because he was like, he pulled on him, he goes, "Oh, it gives me great pleasure to pull out this next name. Jeff, have yourself a seat." Right? And everyone would cheer and laugh. But it was one of those things that it was so anticipated, and if you didn't do it, you kind of felt left out, but there was no pressure to do it other than self-imposed and just seeing how people got along and how fun it was. So.
Very cool. Love it. Here's a dirt simple one that I just love that one of my clients do because it's so simple. Every Thursday, they do third person Thursdays. And the introverts, anybody can do it, right? Because all you have to talk about yourself, but in the third person all day Thursday. Mike loves this idea. Hey, Mike will see you in the meeting later on, Richard. Hey, Mike's has an idea. Like, it's so stupid, but how could you not walk around and smile all day?
Yeah,
so many dirt simple ideas. Here's one of my favorite ones too. Name tag Fridays. You put one of those "Hello, my name is" name tags on, and every week you ask everyone a different question. Could be just, what's your middle name? What's your next destination you want to travel to? What's your favorite comedy, right? And just a fun way of connecting. There's so many simple things that we can do. I want to give away a door prize.
Next destination anybody wants to travel to is anywhere.
Anywhere, exactly. Yeah. I want to go to my yard, for goodness sakes. We're going to give away a door prize. We're going to do the wheel of names. Here's another simple way of making your meetings more fun. Really dirt simple way to make your meetings more fun. Name in the hat. And here's how you do it. Virtually or in person, doesn't matter. Anytime somebody says something that's cool, pithy, fun, insightful, you go, "Oh, wow, Susan, that comment just rocked. I'm putting Susan's name into the hat." And then you do a draw at the meeting. And of course, the more pithy, funny, insightful things you say, the better your chances of getting your name in the hat, the better your chances of winning. But door prizes, recognition, dirt simple way to add a little bit of fun. Giving out rewards like the Houdini Award for who magically made a problem disappear, or the Ha Ha Award for whoever keeps everybody laughing during a serious emergency. So
the birthday poo award.
Yeah.
That's from Yvette in the comments.
Oh.
I liked it.
That's awesome. So this is another dirt simple thing you can do, folks. This is a free app. It's www.wheelofnames.com. You just put the names in there, you cut and paste. You can put as many names as you want in there. You can use this to guide conversations in your meeting or to do draws. So we're going to give away a couple of prizes.
Are you still getting a commission for this?
I am not.
Commission of 0%.
We're going to give away some prizes from the gang, including the humor advantage, today's very topic. So here we go.
And there's music.
And music. Sando Leventon is our first winner. Awesome. We're going to give away 3. This is very exciting.
Do they have to be present to win?
No, we're going to be very generous. Ivan, congratulations. And our third and lucky winner is, this is so exciting.
This one's for the car, right?
This is for the steak knives, I believe, Jeff.
The Ginsu 2000. Nice.
I wonder
Uh-oh.
if that's let's
Do it again.
Let's do it again. Something. Robert.
Yay, Robert.
All right. Congratulations to our winners. Okay, folks, we could do 5 more episodes on this topic because there is so much to
And
get
we
into.
might.
We should, because we barely scratched the humor iceberg here. But I want to thank everybody for cruising out. We're coming up to the 45-minute mark. So, Sunjay, can you tell us what's happening next?
Yes. Next, I will be speaking.
You want to elaborate?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, just to first of all say that we are actually going to take a little bit of a break. So every other Wednesday will become every other Wednesday. So which means
Just once.
we're going to skip the December 30th meeting, let people enjoy their holiday. But 2 weeks following that, which is January 13th, I believe, we will be reconvening. Tell your friends. Our goal is to get 5 million people on the call for January 13th. And if we hit that, then Michael will be buying everyone a car. And our topic is going to be how to put 2020 in hindsight. As much as I'd like to steal that, that was actually Michael Kerr's brilliance. So that was Michael Kerr's idea. That's what we're going to be exploring. How to start, kick off the year right. How do we put some of this garbage behind us, and how do we project forward into 2021?
Can I also mention that for those of you who are new, you can go back to eowednesday.com and you can watch all the past episodes. And believe it or not, I've been keeping track, and more people are watching past episodes, which is great. So be careful what we say. People are watching.
going to watch it.
That's
You know,
awesome.
We've got a couple more ideas here in the chat, specifics. Let me just do these real fast. Creative Fridays once a month. We did dress up theme days, Marvel cartoon character scary, or arts crafts competition design. Wooden spoon was one of them. Winners got champagne. And the last one here is one of my best injections of humor in the chaos of 2020 has been these meetings. Okay.
Yes.
And then somebody else said something. Oh, they're just all wishing us happy holidays and saying that it was,
We'll do the same to everyone else. Happy holidays.
happy
Merry
holidays.
Happy
everyone.
holidays, whatever you celebrate.
Stay safe.
Before we go, though, folks, I want to wish happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year, all that good stuff. But before we go, we got to teach everybody the international symbol for having fun dance. Do we know?
Okay.
Do it.
I'm gonna lift my computer.
We all have to stand?
Well, you don't have to, but here, it's very simple. Very simple. This is the international symbol for having fun. It's the international symbol for putting humor to work. It's very simple. You got to pivot the hips. You can't see my hips.
Oh,
but
pivoting.
your arms out
Oh,
like this.
pivot. You got to
Twist
take a
the
finger and
arms,
say
twist
pivot.
the hips. Start with twisting the hips. Come on, Sunjay. And then you just get the arms going like this. And then you can add a goofy face. And you can reverse.
It's the only face.
Add a goofy face to this.
Richard, you don't need to.
Mine was installed at the factory.
And that's it. Halfway through a meeting, have a little happy dance break. Gets everybody up and the oxygen going. And so with that has been another Every Other Wednesday. Thank you,
Happy
gentlemen.
Holidays, everyone.
Thank you,
2020,
everyone.
we're out.
Take care.
Bye.
Over and out. Bye, all.